Pakistan is holding general elections on Thursday, a vote that critics say can be neither free nor fair. The former Prime Minister, Imran Khan, he's in prison and he can't run for office. Members of his PTI party claim that they're facing harassment. The United Nations High Commission for Human Rights is calling for calm.
Ahead of Thursday's parliamentary election in Pakistan, we deplore all acts of violence against political parties and candidates and urge the authorities to uphold the fundamental freedoms necessary for an inclusive and meaningful democratic process. In the lead up to the vote, there have been no less than 24 reported instances in which armed groups have staged attacks against members of political parties.
That was Liz Throssell of the UN High Commission for Human Rights. Some observers believe the biggest threat to Pakistan's democracy is the military. The army has ruled the nation for about half of its existence since Pakistan was formed back in 1947. And critics claim the military has already decided who will win power this time.
Pakistan's military is on high alert. This week, it's been holding joint patrols with police in the capital, Islamabad, ahead of the election. After last year's violence, it's leaving nothing to chance. That violence followed the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan in May 2023. Even military barracks were attacked. Now that he's behind bars, Khan is banned from standing in this election. Khan and his supporters blame the military for his fall from grace. Yet his rise to power has also been attributed to the military. His opponents in 2018 claimed he was the army's proxy, something Khan denied. This year, 3 times Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who's also been in prison, is said to be the army's favoured man. That's after a ban preventing him from ever standing in an election again was recently overturned. Military interference in Pakistan's politics is nothing new. The country's first official military coup was back in 1958, when martial law was declared following a period of political instability. Just over 10 years later, one general handed over power to another. There followed some years of civilian rule. But another military coup was staged in 1977. The 80s and 90s again saw a period of civilian government, but it was finally overturned in yet another coup, General Pervez Musharraf serving as president until 2008. In total, the army has directly ruled Pakistan for more than 30 years out of its 76-year history. When not in direct control, it's continued to exert huge influence. No prime minister has ever finished their full term, with the military always accused of playing a role. Imran Khan lost the support of the military and was deposed. Now Nawaz Sharif has apparently won that military support back.
I want to bring in now Michael Kugelman. He's the Deputy Director of the Asia Program at the Wilson Center. He joins us tonight from Washington, D.C. Michael, it's good to see you. Are we going to see free and fair elections in Pakistan, or is it, as many are saying, is the military pulling the strings here?
Well, I think that, unfortunately, no matter what happens on Election Day itself, it's already clear that these elections will not be free and fair, and that is because of the non-level playing field in the electoral environment. As we've seen for many months, the PTI, the party of Khan, has faced severe crackdowns, as you recounted in your report, arrests and jailings of leaders as well as supporters. pressure on the media to prevent the party's campaign activities from being covered. It's a playbook that we've seen, unfortunately, many times in the past when it comes to pre-election environments in Pakistan. It's happening again now. And PTI is a party that's a significant party, has a lot of public support, but it's really been hollowed out, and it's not going to have a fair chance to contest the elections, which suggests to me that we already know the elections are not going to be free and fair.
We're not talking, though, about a military coup as we've seen in the past years. So talk to me, or describe, if you could, what exactly does the military exerting power in Pakistan, what is that going to look like?
Well, I mean, what I just laid out before is essentially what the military's influence looks like. I mean, you're right. It's been more than 15 years since the military last held direct power, but it has continued to be influential from behind the scenes by, in this case of elections, engaging in certain pressure activities and shaping the electoral environment in a way that the party that it does not want to see come to power cannot come to power. And again, this happened in 2018. At that time, the roles were very different in the sense that the army viewed Imran Khan as a favorite son, and it viewed Nawaz Sharif as the enemy, so to speak. And so it took steps. It sponsored activities that made it difficult for the PMLN and made things easier for PTI. But I would argue that today, the army is much more overtly involved in politics than it typically has been when it doesn't formally hold power. And you could see that in particular in terms of how it's been very present on economic policy. The army chief of the country is personally driving policies meant to focus on economic recovery. And, we're talking about an unelected official here who is essentially the most powerful political player in Pakistan. That's not good for democracy.
It's not good for democracy, and it calls into question the role of the voters here. What role do voters have in Pakistan moving forward?
Well, I mean, we've seen most elections in Pakistan's history, turnout has not been very good. It's hovered around 50%, oftentimes less. There have been a few exceptions where turnout's been very high, but now in particular, there are concerns that turnout will not be very high just because there's so much skepticism and cynicism about politics. And in the case of Khan's party, I think that many will struggle to get out there. That many of them say they want to vote, but we've seen that when Khan's party has tried to mobilize and hold campaign activities, they're broken up. So many supporters have been arrested. So that's going to be tough. But here, I think you have to highlight the issue of young people. Much of Pakistan is young demographically. So if PTI is to have any chance of trying to make a dent in what appears to be a clear victory by PMLN, you're going to need to have young voters out there because Khan's party does draw a lot of support from young people. So if they get out there, that could bode well for PTI, at least in terms of making a dent in what PMLN is trying to do.
Michael Kugelman with the Asian program at the Wilson Center. We appreciate your time and your analysis tonight, Michael. Thank you.
Thank you.